Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Creative Smartphone Photography Show. This is Sab in Paris. How are you doing tonight? Nice to have you watching on the replay, probably at the moment. And my mug today is something I really don't like at all. It's macaron. I think they're called macarons, something like that. And American ladies seem to be obsessed by them, and for me they're just sort of sweet, sugary little puff things. Anyway, that's my mug. It's not my mug, so I'm not criticizing the mug. Hello. So we are going to look at a lot of photographs tonight. We're going to start first half of the show probably looking at this week's theme, which was the rather obscure theme of corners. Not such an obvious theme, but you did an amazing job. So many people sent in so many fantastic photos of corners. We'll also be looking at the poll. Let me see if I can share my screen. Like this. And you can see that there's a poll here. This is next. In other words, I'm a little bit on one computer at the moment because my screen isn't working, so bear with me. So there's so many cool photographs of corners. By the way, say hello in the comments. Let's see if the comments are working, and let's see if you are working. I would love, you're getting a bit, here's the poll. You got a bit of a sneak of some of the amazing photos there. So I would like you to choose between hobbies, black and white, rainy, snowy, windy, and windows. Those are the four options for this week, for next week's thing. So hobbies, it's anything you do in your spare time, probably not professional things like, I don't know, making models or juggling or knitting or painting, anything like that. You can get some great photographs from that. Black and white, it's very, very large theme. It's literally black and white photographs. To get started, let's see what you can do in black and white if you choose that one. And then later we can have black and white on, sunsets, or black and white on nature. But that's that one. Rainy, snowy, windy is weather, not sunny weather. Weather with a bit of a character to it. It's not doing very well at the moment with 10%, and windows at 40%. So vote, please. 2 votes. Choose 2 things. Go there now. Do it now. And I'll probably choose by the end of the program. Okay, so say hello. Say hello in the comments if you're watching. Even on the replay, say hello. And then at the end of the show, or rather the second half, I will show you some of my new photographs and any of your photographs that you've contributed which are not part of the theme. You can always contribute photos that are not part of the theme at any time. Just make sure there's a comment with them. No naked photos, as I say. All right, let's have a look at what you've done with corners. Absolutely amazing. Can you please say hello if you can? I want to do this. This isn't, well, this does have corners in it, but it was me doing a bit of promo for the show. But in fact, there are corners. In fact, it's a window. I took this about an hour, 2 hours ago. It's my son looking through a window and a cat looking at us saying, "Hey, are you coming to the show tonight?" And as I think it was Dorothy pointed out, there's lots of corners there. All right. Now this is Nazanin from near the Marne River, which is near where I am, near Paris. And she took the theme of corner to be a little place that you feel at home. And this is her balcony by the looks of it, looking out through a kind of a double exposure or reflection by the looks of it. Thank you for contributing that, Nazanin. Got a comment, and I will honor the comments. And it's Thomas saying hello. Hello, friends. Say hello to Thomas. How are you doing, Thomas? What photographs have you taken recently? Okay, this is Beatrice. Beatrice has got a thing about drain pipes. So she says the return of the drain pipe. I love the grungy effect. I love the texture. It's just wonderful. And there's a corner up. There's a corner up in the top right-hand corner, and the whole thing is in a corner, isn't it? The drain pipe is in a corner. So that's beautiful. Love that. Can I make it bigger to get the full effect of that? This is really urban, sort of grungy urban photography, and I've actually got comments. Oh no, these are the comments to the shot. Cool shot, says Jean, and Thomas likes it too. And Alison says, love the colouring and the industrial feel of this picture. This is a bit of Bear's speciality, grungy sort of urban stuff. What about you? Do you like grungy urban stuff, or are you more into other types of photography? Hello from Chris. Hello, Chris. Nice to have you with us. All right, let's go. Top contributor, it says so, Beatrice. Corner of freedom of speech. So this is a little corner in her town where it's kind of away from the main sort of thoroughfare, and people have decided this is a good place to throw paper cups and also put sort of revolutionary messages. She lives in a town which is near another town, and they're both quite communist by sort of history. The Communist Party has a slightly different meaning in France than in places like Russia. Not quite the same, much more mainstream in a way. You know, the communists were a power and they weren't seen as, you know, being dangerous to our freedom or anything like that. So there's still a strong presence. The mayors of a couple of towns around here, they are communists. The Communist Party, I think. Okay, I'm going to skip this because I want to get to the corners. Thomas has a knack for getting photographs and repurposing them and doing them 2 or 3 different ways. He's got a corner, you could call it, there's lots of corners in these windows and stuff, and then in the middle it looks like there's this strange pyramid thing, and he's done about 2 or 3 versions of this, and one of them was gorgeous, and it was just almost black and white, and then one, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic too. So you can always play around with the same photograph. This is Thomas. Now this is amazing. Have a look at this. Now, if you blink or switch your brain to a different dimension, you can see this corner either sticking out at you or going away from you. It's quite difficult to decide which is which because of the shading. If the shading was stronger on certain sides, it would be much more clearly one way, like a corner looking into it, or a point coming out towards us. But for me, it keeps flicking back and forth between them. What about you? Can you see the effect? And it's really wonderful. I literally, it is flicking, as I look at it, it's flicking back and forth, pointing away from me, pointing towards me. And that's what Thomas said. He said he wanted to do something like that, and he really succeeded there. And at a corner, looking into a corner. Dorothy, hello, Dorothy. Nice to have you with us. We're looking at corners today. And then Thomas played around with these shots, doing all sorts of wonderful. That's really amazing. This again. Is this a house? Are we looking at a house through this window here? The reflection of a house in somebody else's window? That's the first time I'm actually working out what it might be. You put the actual corner right in the middle of the shot, begin to see what would happen if you move the corner in the middle of the shot out of the photo. I'm amazed how many people got really great ideas. This time, no, it's not. It's this time. Corner of the tail, car tail light, and this was. I didn't have a clue what it was until I read Chris saying that it's when I like to go abstract, I really go abstract. And when I thought about it, I thought, okay, yeah, I can see a bit of the car there, but it's extraordinary. I don't know. I'm really not 100% sure, or even 50% sure what exactly I'm looking at. Are there some sort of crazy reflections going on somewhere? Amazing colors. And a few of you said they really like you've got fans. You really have a gift, and you know, I'm not gonna contradict that. Now, this is the first one I've saw of Thomas's, and I love this treatment. It's not black and white; it's sort of very, very soft, beigey brown, washed out beigey brown effect, and I thought that was wonderful. Really liked it a lot. When you get rid of the color, you focus more on the other elements. There's lots of different elements I'm saying elements this time, not elephants, as I sometimes do. Sometimes there can be too many creative elements in a photograph. And what are some of those elements? Well, color is one, lines and angles is another. Focus and not focus can be another. Like if one thing is in focus, our eye is drawn to it, as opposed to the things that are not in focus. The position in the photograph, comparative size. You can have a big thing and a little thing. Areas which are have lots of intense, busy things going on, and then huge areas with nothing happening. If there's too many of those, you don't know what to do with it. So he's got rid of color. Color is a very strong compositional element. So for example, if you've got a photograph which is all green with a tiny bit of red, you'll go to the red. So the color is not distracting us here. Reflections as well is another thing. So we can focus on the texture, the angles, and what's in the reflection. Then he posted the same one in color, and I thought it was actually wonderful. I really liked it, almost more than this. Although before I saw that one, go time. Now this is going crazy. Last week she went on a I've forgotten what the thing was last week. What was the thing last week? Can't remember. I can't remember what the thing last week was. There was a thing last week, and I can't remember the theme last week. And she went on a something hunt, and now she's going on a corner hunt, and she's got loads of them. Isn't it amazing what happens when you've got something in your mind? So she started putting the moon in corners, and there's the moon trapped in between a wire and a pole. And you might think, what are you talking about, trapped? It's not trapped. But in the 2D world, two-dimensional world of photography, it absolutely is trapped, isn't it? This is a different world we're in now. That's interesting. And what else? Getting up nice, close and personal. Love that texture. Slightly, the corner itself is slightly off to the left, so that's more interesting than if it were in the middle. Dorothy is a big fan of using a mirror effect, so I wouldn't be surprised if she did a mirror effect on this. It would be quite interesting. But if she had this in the middle, the line in the middle, the mirror effect might be kind of not as impressive. It could be interesting to see a mirror effect on that. Maybe missing something like a point of interest. Could there be something like, I don't know, tiny piece of graffiti or something? Just to, to give us something to look at rather than just the bricks. Could be interesting. But you gotta try it. Huh? What? Numbers. Last week it was numbers, and Dorothy went on a number hunt. Now she's going on a corner hunt. Here's Dorothy going, there you go, there you go. That's exactly what I was just saying. She's done something weird with it. Well done, Dorothy. Keeping the weirdness up. Thomas is saying the shadow in the other photograph is the reflection of this house too. Okay, yeah, when you've got reflections and shadows getting mixed up, it's moving into very strange territory. I love the idea that it's a pyramid. I absolutely went for that. Great idea. This is looking amazing. And if the point of interest I was thinking is, I was mentioning, could be this dark area here. I'm really wondering what's happening in this dark area. And I have to admit, I've just seen a very strange creature. It looks like these two arms, a tiny head in the middle, and then legs, two legs with feet coming down here, and something horrible being birthed in between his legs. Kind of weird, kind of weird. Nothing less than I expected from Dorothy. Who's to say what reality on a hunch? This is kind of because this looks like it's a kind of a speckled piece of concrete here. But if you look more closely, is it going to open this up for me? It's actually ants. Tons and tons of ants. And here's another one as well. Very interesting. Absolutely a corner, and pretty, don't know, it makes me feel a little bit uneasy. What about you? Does this kind of make you feel a bit queasy, or you think, oh, look, lovely nature? And definitely, really, there's two corners there, at least two corners, kind of, and all the ants are in the lines of the corners. Pretty, that's a lovely added interest, you know, otherwise it would be a bit of a boring photo, let's face it, because corners is a challenge. I started thinking, wow, how can I make this interesting? And then I got inspired by you doing loads of interesting things, and then I got inspired. This is full of corners. We're in the intimacy of Jean's 𝗚𝗏𝗴 in French. It's the little corner, and it's the sort of slang name for the lavatory, the toilet, the WC or the bathroom. But it really is just the toilet, not a bathroom. Sometimes they have a little room and it's just a toilet. And that's nice. I love the color. Soft blue, bluey, moving into turquoisey, but subdued. You've got corners in the top right and left. You've got this pointy corner here. You've got a soft corner. I like it. Abstract. Almost difficult to know what it is. With a lot of texture there as well. And Jean was inspired by Beatrice's corner. Here's another one, Bea. During my walk, I saw this. Is this a corner? I'm not sure if that's a corner. I think this is just a photograph that was just contributed outside of the corner theme. So I'm going to skip that for the moment. Okay, do we have any more corners? There's a song in French, and it's, oh, hang on, we've got a comment from Thomas saying, looks like a black sheep from Dorothy. Yeah, you can see lots of strange things in Dorothy's special effect photographs, that's for sure. So there's a French song where the singer sings about something like un petit coin de parapluie contre un coin de paradis, something like that, which means I will offer you a little bit of paradise if you give me a little corner of your umbrella. I'm not sure if it's rather pretentious, the guy thinking if a lady lets him under his umbrella, she'll experience a little bit of paradise. It's, you know, a little bit presumptuous, but it's a cute song, and I think that's what she was thinking of here, and also Bea was thinking of that as well. So that's cute. Here is le petit coin, the little corner, which means a toilet, or the loo, as the British would say, the loo. And from Laurel, she missed of challenges, couldn't let it be 3 in a row. Absolutely, Laurel, nice, absolutely nice to see you here. And yeah, you've done a beautiful photograph of the corner of your, probably a room, which has loads of corners. Beautiful colors as well. You've done that. Could be an abstract thing, couldn't it? Hello to a Facebook user. I'm afraid I'm not seeing your name, so do say who you are, Facebook user, and I will acknowledge you. This is Jean, and this inspired a photograph by me. One thing leads to the other. You know my motto, and that is create, share, learn. So for me, you create first, but for me, it doesn't have much meaning until I get rid of it. I put it out into the world, whatever I've created, and then I look forward to seeing the reaction, and I can learn from the reaction, and that inspires me again. Here's a good example. We did a theme on corners. Jean created this corner. Just a bit of cobwebs in here, but still functioning. What's functioning, I wonder? Corner of my mind. Corner of my mind. So this is actually a corner that Jean took of her mind with a few cobwebs, but it's still functioning more or less. Thanks for, did you stick the camera in your ear or something? And I thought, that's lovely, and all that texture, beautiful. Then I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if there was something down here? Yeah, the famous point of interest. So I thought I will do a corner picture with a point of interest. And I don't know where it is, but you'll see it soon. The challenge is, corners are fine, but there has to be something creative about them. For example, Gina's used a beautiful, looks like she's used special effects to make it grungy, and give it lots of character. You need to change it somehow, even if it's changing the angle of your camera. Otherwise, what are you adding? Otherwise, it's a banal, boring shot, and that's what I want to move you away from. Do anything except publish a standard photo. There has to be something special about it. And I'm not saying that what you do isn't special if you don't do much to it, but I want it to be special for you. I want you to feel that it's not a normal photograph. Otherwise, what's the point? Anyone can take snaps. That's not what this group is about. It's about doing something special, even if it's on a very small scale. So I automatically thought something could go there. What about putting something strange there, like an old shoe or necklace or a key, you know, and it makes you wonder what it might be for. Get the person who's looking at your photographs to wonder, what is that? What is it about? What are they trying to say? The other thing they might wonder is, why on earth did they take that photograph? Unless you give them a hint that there's more to it than meets the eye. What do you think of what I'm saying? Do you think, does that make sense, or does it sound like nonsense? And you decide, and you're probably right. This one from 𝗚𝗏, I couldn't work out. I thought I was looking at something flat on a desk. I thought this was. I hope you can see my mouse. I wonder if you can see my mouse, because I hope you can see my mouse moving. Tell me if you can see my mouse moving, please. This one here, I thought for some reason was a dark, sort of dark leather-bound book or something. I didn't realize these were computer icons. And I didn't know what it was. I thought was a strange thing on the desk, which I'd never seen before. And then it took me a long time to work out this is actually her window, this computer screen, and this is a second computer, her actual computer. Then I saw a corner up here, corner here, these two corners. There's a corner of the bottom right, then there's a corner of a picture in the top right. And this corner of the photograph is a corner despite itself, because there's nothing in it, but there's a line going across that even makes the top left-hand corner another corner. So I thought that was cool, and I love the lighting effect. It's amazing, and I love the treatment, which has all turned it kind of soft, orangey, peachy color. Okay, what are your photographs so far, people? Let me know, and don't forget to vote for next week's theme. Thanks, 𝗚𝗏, for that. And just coming back here. I'm looking for my photograph. Here we go. Here's my photograph. 𝗚𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗣𝗛𝗢𝗡, where I was, to be honest, and this is my attempt to show you what I mean by having a point of interest. A lovely big fly just sitting there. Isn't that hygienic? Isn't that sweet? And you can see this up in the top right. Do you have any idea what that is? Well, there's a kind of matching shadow in the bottom left. You know what shadows are? I'll just let you think about that. What is the shadow in the top right, and what is the shadow in the bottom left? By the way, this is not real. It's not infested by flies. This is actually the idea of my son. He thought it would be fun to put a fake fly on my plate one day, so I confiscated it, and now I have a fake fly with me at all times. And there are tons of cool corners there as well. Wherever anything meets, it's a kind of a corner. You've got all sorts. You've got cleanish corners, this thing, that obscenely disgusting, but it's not the newest place either. And I added some color. It's a bit boring color-wise. This was my introductory shot, and I said, does this square have corners or not? And then Dorothy said, well, yeah, at least 12. And I thought, oh, I thought maybe it didn't have any, because the corner has actually been turned into a curve. The photo has corners, of course. Then there's kind of corners up here. I mean, is corners a valid thing in its own right, or is it a silly thing? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But it doesn't really matter, does it? It got people taking a lot of photographs they would never have taken before. And that is really a big part of the point. If you know my Today's the Day group, you'll know that I try to encourage people to do something each day that they've done before. or to appreciate something they don't normally appreciate, even if it's something really simple. And so do join the Today's the Day group. You can even put your photographs in there if you like. Anything that you've done that is you want to remember. Today was the day I did this. Look, Thomas has done this. Today is this. I think the picture I was looking for. Today is the day I almost feel like I'm in Giza. I think that's in Egypt. I love this photograph. And you know, I honestly, if he told me this was Egypt, I would accept what he said, because you don't know what we're looking at. And yeah, I mean, slightly different angle there, but absolutely love this. Really love the texture, love the color. If I was looking for a point of interest, I might say, yeah, but you know, where is the point of interest? Unless otherwise it's just a complete abstract composition. Well, this thing here, you have to ask yourself, am I looking at the reflection of a pyramid? Or am I looking through a window at a pyramid? You just don't know, which is great. Makes it all the more interesting. There's a triangle in the top left. The window is split into triangles. There's a triangle in the top right. And there's a triangle coming in from the bottom here, going that way. So you could even call this a composition of triangles. And there's a triangle of different dimensions, different size and different angles coming into every single side. Even if in the bottom right there, this dark bit kind of goes down there like a triangle. So, and not to mention the two big triangles, or four, in the windows themselves. So I love it. I love geometrical designs and intriguing ones also. So that's today's event. Notice that each day of your life is worth living, and that, you know, the little things count just as much as the big things. I guess I will say something now. I won't go into details on this, but I'm going to show you something. It's a poem, and I'm just going to put this up on the screen. I'm not going to read it. This is and this really brought home to me how we really enjoy each day, value each day like it's our last. Just going down, these are my poems, mysticrhythms.com. I'm going to show you a poem. Am I? Yeah. It's here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. It's called Waiting for Christina. And here, waiting. There you go. So I had this photograph from my Paris Photo Chronicles, and I did a double sort of thing. That's me sitting on a bench, and Christina was a member of a Mindvalley, an online course that I did on public speaking and stuff like that. And she was a lovely person, the epitome of love. She couldn't seem to give enough. And she always promised that she would come to Paris and have an almond croissant with me. And I kept teasing her, you know, when are you coming to Paris? I'm still waiting for the almond croissant. And unfortunately and incredibly, she got sick, and she was sick for about 2 years. And I learned today, as a huge shock, that she's gone. And I'm sorry if that's a shock for you if you didn't know, but if you knew her. And I was very upset. Last year I did a poem called Waiting for Christina. She was already sick. And in it, I'll leave it there. You know, you can always stop the screen and read it if you want. I'll read it properly sometime. And there's, you know, I talk about the almond croissant and stuff like that. And so this brought home to me how important it is to appreciate every single day. You never know what's going to happen. You know, she was one of the healthiest people I know, spiritual, loving, but she's gone now, and she never had her almond croissant. So I'll have to eat hers as well, I guess. So let's go back to this. This was another of my introduction photos, and it's Paddington in a corner of my apartment, sitting on the corner of my shelves, waiting to see when we're next going to the Lake District, so that he can have more adventures on top of some interesting mountains. Okay, how are we doing for time? We are halfway through. I think we've looked at all of the corner things. So don't forget to, let me just make that bigger. There he is, our Paddington. That photo, a lot of corners. I think we've the point of corners. You know, we can find them. So I'm looking for a new idea for next week. And you've got the poll in the group. A few more. This is Gene, the cute little doggy sitting in his little corner. That's so lovely. I always love this little doggy, Gene, every time you post a photograph. And this is a special doggy. He goes to hospitals with Gene and cheers up patients. So that's wonderful. Okay, any more corners? Oh my God, yeah, there's more. This is a little corner in Beatrice's apartment. Of course, I clicked somewhere else. Love the color that she's done on this. Really lovely, rich, soft orangey red. Oh God, okay. We've gone way back to the beginning. Okay, well, maybe I'll just go through quickly and I will check any photographs that are not part of the theme that have popped up. And then I'm going to show you some of my latest photographs. Oh, this one. Okay, yeah, let's move on to other things now. I did something different with this when I posted it. I said, what's wrong with this photo? And I thought a bit of a stimulus would be a good thing to get people thinking. Now, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with this photograph at all. But no, that's not quite true. There was one tiny little thing about this that, to myself, and you might recognize this in yourself. You might think sometimes people show their photographs and the first thing they do is criticize them, just before anyone else does. And I tell people, don't do this. Just show the photograph. It's fine. But I look at this and I don't know if it's perfectionism, but I just can't help thinking, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to see if anybody guessed what that little thing was that was bugging me? And a couple of people, I suggested there's something really bad, really wrong with this photo. What's wrong with this photo? Well, there's far too much sky. I mean, they probably wouldn't have thought that, and they might not even have thought there's anything wrong with the photo if I hadn't said what's wrong with it. You can put seeds in people's heads, and then they suddenly think that it's a real thing, and it's not. I, on purpose, made the horizon extremely low for a reason. The top 2/3 of this photograph are empty, literally empty. It's just slight changes in tone in the sky. The bottom third is highly concentrated. Now, if you think about it, 2/3 empty, 1/3 concentrated. Well, that's nice. Think if it was 2/3 concentrated, lots of detail, things happening, and 1/3 empty, it wouldn't be as powerful. So I've put all of the concentration, the dark city, the very interesting skyline, the sun setting very close to the horizon, and then taking you a little bit up into the emptiness, the birds. Now, that was on purpose. And I thought, if you want to, there's this rule, a famous rule, which is the 2/3 rule. I can't even remember what it's called now. The rule of thirds. You're supposed to, for example, horizons, they should be a third up from the bottom or a third down from the top, not in the middle. Absolutely, there are reasons for this. We seem to find that more pleasing. But if you want to, that becomes so common that every single photograph, you look at it and you think, no, they've just learnt the rule of thirds. If you want to do something more extreme and shock people, now that they're used to having, oh, a third up, a third down, well, put it absolutely in the middle for once, not every time, and it'll be what you need to shock people. Well, another thing you can do is put the horizon so low that there's a ton of sky, and that makes it even more striking. I think I could have had even more sky. I cropped to have the sun way over on the left, that big blocky building on the right. I didn't want to crop the big block of building off in the bottom right, because then that would have left the Eiffel Tower too close to the edge. I wanted the Eiffel Tower to be framed by that big block of a building, as the tower on the left, the Montparnasse Tower, is kind of framed by the sun in a way, kind of keeping it in. You see, you've got the two towers, you've got two things outside of the towers, then you've got the side of the photograph. And those birds going up, I think, are just wonderful. I had lots of versions, as you can imagine, of this photograph with no birds, or the birds in different places. But for me, those birds make all the difference. Oh, I need to get some electricity. Now, this is the difference. You take an extra 5 minutes and you get a photograph. Imagine this photograph with no birds. Fine, pretty, why not? But you've got to make the photograph. The photograph exists in your head, and the photograph I had in my head, nature supplied the amazing sunset. In my head, that sunset had birds in it. Well, I looked around, I couldn't see any birds. So I said, okay, well, you know, birds fly around, don't they? Maybe there'll be some along in a minute. So I waited, and I waited maybe 5 or 10 minutes. The birds came. I got a shot with birds in. Someone who wouldn't have waited, or wouldn't even have imagined that it would be really better with birds in, wouldn't even have bothered. So you can do that. You can invent your own photograph and see if you can make it become real. And then that led to a poem. One thing leads to another, you see, and the poem is based on birds in the sky, 4 birds. And the poem wouldn't have existed if the birds weren't in the photo. The birds wouldn't have been in the photo if I hadn't had the idea that it would be much better with birds in. So one thing leads to another. This poem is now part of my life. And where did it come from? Did it come from the photograph? Did it come from the birds? Did it come from me? Did it come from Paris? Did it come from this building that looks like a chimney? I have no idea where it came from, but if I set something in motion, which I thought was worth doing, waiting for the birds, and now I've got a poem that I like, a poem I would never have written, it wouldn't even have existed. So do things where you don't know what's going to happen afterwards, and things will happen. So yeah, what do you think of that, people? Give me an example that you've got in your heads of doing something you didn't know what was going to happen, and it led to something else that you're really pleased about. Do you have an example of that? Okay, let's move on to I'm not sure if there's anything more here below these corner ones. Okay, so the choices: hobbies, black and white, rainy, snowy, windy, or windows. And we've got a tie at the moment. Black and white and windows are on 40 each. Choose 2, go to the poll. At least maybe I'll wait until a little bit after. Go to the poll, choose 2, and in an hour or so, I'll choose those. All right, let's see if there's any more of these. I love this one. This is Bear's photo of a broken down old house with a broken down old car outside. My grandmother used to drive this famous French car. They're so characterful, the 2 CVs. Love those. Yeah, just in her neighborhood. All right, let's chug through, get to the end of these. And I think there was one or two, this one is, I love the colors. I was saying, little corner by your bed. Do you have a little corner by your bed with a favorite book, maybe an ornament, a lamp, a precious stone? This is me, and something I'm working on at the moment. It's a cube. I can't remember what I called it, but it's these are shotgun shells, shotgun cartridges that I find near my place, and they're on the edges of a cube, and I'm painting animals on the cube. I find it ironic that these cartridges which are made to kill animals are such pretty rainbow colors. So I'm trying to do something meaningful with them. Okay, Thomas with his, those are numbers. We're on to numbers now. Okay, let's move on to something else. So say hello, how are you doing? Let me know which photographs are those corner photographs that you like a lot. Tell me what you thought of the theme. Was it easy? Was it difficult? I'd love to know. If you're watching the replay, hello, thanks for watching the replay. Let me know, please comment on the replay and let me know what you think of these. Did you find this theme difficult or easy? Were you surprised at the first you thought, I don't know what I'm going to do, and then you got something interesting? This is going to show you two photographs which for me kind of go together. This is one. Do you know what this building is? Do you know? Have a guess. What is this famous French building? And there's another one somewhere which is kind of similar. This one here, with my bird friends. Yeah, I've got friends in Paris. Most of them have feathers, and I thought that's funny. They're quite similar, those pictures. They complement each other. They're going to be on either side of a chapter of the Paris Photo Chronicles, and this one was historically interesting. I learned something new when I wrote the text that went with it. I'll just put that up in case you want to read it quickly. You can stop the video and read that. Yeah, it was founded by Eugénie, Napoleon III's wife, empress, no less. The story is nice. This building is in the shape of a necklace. In other words, it's kind of like a round thing with a special reception room, which looks like the clasp of the necklace. This is looking down from above, which you'd never know. And then kind of at the bottom of the necklace, when you're looking down, is the chapel, which is the pendant. And the story is Empress Eugénie was offered a very expensive necklace by the city of Paris as a gift for when she was marrying Napoleon III to become empress. And she thought, well, it's not that cool, really. The first official thing that they do for me is give me a really expensive gift. That might not be seen as, you know, I'm supposed to be the empress of the French. And the first thing I'm doing is getting a fancy necklace from them. Thanks very much, without asking and without them being consulted. So she said, no, don't do that. Build a building for charity. So they built this thing, which is to help. It was to help orphans, girls. And to this day, it's a place for. It's supposed to be a place for girls to study. They can even live there. They're supposed to be disadvantaged, like handicapped or socially disadvantaged or something like that. So that's kind of cool. And then the other one, which is kind of a mirror image in a way, is this. And can you believe it? Nearly 30 years in Paris, I had never been to the Pantheon. And it's the place they put famous dead people. Men, actually, it says aux grands hommes, la patrie reconnaissante. In other words, the motherland is proud of the great men of France. And I don't think they meant it as in mankind, meaning everybody. I think they meant men at that time. But now they've started putting women in there. And if you want to read my text, it's kind of cheeky because it's about the latest woman, or maybe the latest, I'm not sure, who's put in there, who was American, black. I think we're still allowed to say black. And she was a dancer, and she became famous for dancing topless in the Paris cabaret with bananas around her waist. And they put her in the Pantheon. And some people weren't sure if she should be in there, you know, in amongst the great authors, people who had, you know, led really important political movements. And then there was this lady. They justified it in several ways. Above all, by saying that she helped in the French resistance, although it's not exactly totally clear what she did. Some have suggested it may be because she had darker colored skin that they put her in, you know, like get the quotas up of politically correct sort of people. And she's a woman as well. There you go. But I don't have any confirmation on that either. for you to decide. So I was so excited to go to the Pantheon recently. It was really great. I liked it. I was expecting to be a bit disappointed. I thought it was just going to be bare walls with plaques on the wall saying so and so is buried here. And in fact, the inside is really impressive. It used to be a church before it was sort of requisitioned by the revolution and turned into this resting place for the great. And in the text, by the way, I wonder what great really means. And but you go down and you're in this strange sort of labyrinth of I don't know what you'd call them, little rooms with tombs in, and luckily they've put displays up so that you know why the people are in there. It's really quite good, actually. So I wasn't disappointed. Got the flag flying nicely. All right, I'll take you through a few more of my latest photos. I think we've done that one, don't you? One more look. I'm excited about it. I love this. Paris is a bit like a soup bowl. In other words, it goes down in the middle and it's surrounded by higher lands, by little hills. Even Montmartre, Montmartre is like a mountain where Sacré-Cœur is. That's inside Paris still. But here I'm outside of Paris, and there are hills. In fact, there's a belt of forts on the hills around Paris, which were built to protect Paris. Not sure if they actually did much good, but this is looking down. And one of my aims is to get as many photographs of the Eiffel Tower as completely different from one to the other as possible. And I was very excited to add this one to my Eiffel Tower collection. I think there's an example of that, and I thoroughly recommend that you do something like this. Choose something that you're able to take photographs of often and do it, and give yourself the challenge of it never looking the same. One subject that you can choose, which I think everyone is capable of doing, is, guess what? You. You can be the subject. You might think that's strange, but it's actually a very powerful subject. It's got nothing to do with narcissism or anything like that. For one thing, you're always there. Look around, you'll spot yourself in a mirror, for example. And, we're an interesting subject, aren't we? We've been with ourselves all our lives. We can see ourselves getting older. And what a great creative challenge to try and do something with yourself. It doesn't have to be a photo of your face. It could be a photograph of your hand holding something. It doesn't matter. Anyway, this is my Eiffel Tower project. I'm getting all my Eiffel Tower photos together now. So this is, again, in the sets of 9. So, you can look at these photographs. Every single one has at least a bit of the Eiffel Tower. And the challenge it's great. I like this one here in the middle right. It's me trying to be different. You've got a slice of something on the right. Do you have any idea what that slice on the right is? The photograph here, middle right. It's a very famous building. And on the left, of course, is the Eiffel Tower. Normally you put the subject somewhere inside the frame. Well, you want to take a different shot? Do what you don't normally do. I slammed the Eiffel Tower, slammed it against the left-hand side of the photo. Fine, but if I hadn't had anything else on the right, it would have been a bit kind of odd and kind of not particularly artistic. I don't know. Anyway, well, on the right is a similar sliver of the Arc de Triomphe, Arc of Triumph, which is kind of cool, 2 very famous buildings stuck to the side of my photograph with big fat nothing in the middle. I thought that was quite funny. Yeah, so check those out. If you were to set yourself a challenge, answer me now in the comments. If you were to set yourself a challenge of photographing something regularly, just to see what happens. And believe you me, it's quite a powerful exercise, especially over the months and years, as you see your collection growing and you start to have insights about things which you couldn't have imagined. Like I said earlier, do something, you're not sure what's going to happen, and things will happen, and there'll be interesting things. So if you were to do that, what would you choose? Do you have a famous building near you, or a sunset? Like a sea scene with a tree? Anything can be simple, This is another example where it's me. You can see in the top left, it's my feet. That counts. I counted that as a self-portrait. I remember those shoes. I was very fond of them. So they walked the streets, I can tell you, they walked the streets a lot. And then you've got all sorts of stuff, you know. I can be quite insignificant in the shot. If you look in the middle one, where I'm actually literally holding up the upside down Louvre pyramid with one finger. I've been doing some weight training recently. I'm pretty insignificant in the shot. I mean, I'm important. I'm a vital element. Otherwise, the thing would fall to the ground and smash. But I'm pretty small in the shot. It can be an eye. And looking at these, I realized that quite a few of them, I've got one eye on the right, illusions, with the illusions book. I've got two eyes in the top left with my crazy porridge, bottom left. I've got my eyes are scrounged out, being replaced by jigsaw puzzle pieces in the bottom middle. And on the bottom right, you've got a single eye with three fingers and one of my vices, chocolate bars. And then you can see in the top right, it's another bit of my body. It's my leg, a leg. And this leaf fell on me. I didn't put it there. I remember where I was. I remember the woman with the pushchair going by in the top right. I remember these things. Every single one of these is a moment that I remember, which I wouldn't have remembered otherwise if I hadn't taken the photograph. This is important. Remember the moments that are important in your life. Create them, make them. And you'll be pleased you did. All right, any more? This one. Not sure if I talked about this last time or not. Maybe I did. There's about 4 or 5 interesting elements. You've got the Eiffel Tower. You've got a typical Parisian lamppost, which is an echo of the Eiffel Tower, tall and long and stuff. You've got the famous love locks of Paris. You've got a woman in a red hat. Always good to have a woman in a red hat in your photos, folks. You've got the River Seine. You've got a bridge. You've got 2 bridges, in fact. I'm on one. There's one in the distance in the right middle. You've got a boat, not one going past, unfortunately, but still. And you've even got one of my little puzzle pieces, which is on the bridge there next to the locks. I think I talked about that last time. And there's an interesting aspect of this photo. I don't know if you noticed. I noticed after the fact. I got home and I was playing with this photo and I looked at it and I suddenly thought, oh, look, you can see what she's taking a photograph on her phone. On her phone is a picture of the lamppost. How cool is that? It's a tiny detail, but that makes it very special, I think. You got to fill your photos with not only with some sort of meaning and a nice composition and stuff, but little surprises. Try to put little surprises in there. You've got the lamppost on her phone. So cool. Hello, if you've just joined. Nice to have you here. Do say hello. Say who you are. Love to know. This one is interesting. It's a lot of people think that we are looking at the smallest house in Paris, the narrowest. Can you see it? Shoved in between these two. And it's not quite. This is really for Paris connoisseurs. It's actually this one that's even smaller, which literally wasn't really a proper house, but it filled in the story of the other one, which isn't this one, was that there was a tiny gap in between 2 houses, and there was a dispute between the 2 houses on each side over whose it was. And I think there was something about it being a useful thoroughfare, a useful passage to go somewhere else. So they each wanted it. And then one of them had the idea of just building a house in it and saying, well, we built it, so it's ours. So you can't have it anymore. So there's one that's even narrower than this. But this is a proper house. And if you read my text, I'll let you see it so you can freeze the frame and read it. It's amazing, this little house. It's got everything except grandeur, except size. It's got a fancy door, which is actually higher than the door next to it, despite the building being tiny. It's got a really fancy little balconies on it. It's got fancy plaster work. It's got a couple of heads above the windows there. It's got 2 lion things looking across at each other. It's got 2 dragons with wings and big boobs for some reason. This is France, after all. This is Paris. Got to get those in there. And it's got a couple of fancy lamps outside, all for this tiny, diminutive little, cute little place that you almost miss. I did play with it a little bit, as you can see. Otherwise, it would have been a little bit more boring than it is. And if you want one up on other so-called Paris connoisseurs, on the boat trips that go past on the river, they'll often point out, they say, and there on your right is the smallest house in Paris. And you can say, yes, but no, it isn't. There's another one that's even smaller. This is about 2.5 meters across. I think you could, if I stuck my arms out, I probably might just be able to, no, 2.5 meters, no. But the other one's more like 1.5 meters, 1.5 meters across for a house. So that will be in my future Paris things. What else? What else? We have, that's another detail on the thing I'm painting. This is my latest the chapter before last. Okay, I think we are, this is maybe new, Scottish pub in Paris. Can you imagine? I was born in Scotland, walking along, suddenly see a Scottish pub. So cool. And I think we've talked about that before. Let me just finish my, I thought I had my phone somewhere. I don't know if I've got my phone. I was in, okay, let me come back here. All right, so we're getting to the end now, folks. Thanks very much for watching. Went into Paris just now, saw my son who has just come back from Chile. You know, what a life. He comes back from Chile. A week later, he's going to Italy with the school. And yeah, I'm thinking, okay, that's a good life. He's going to Rome. He's going to Florence. I think he's going to see Pompeii, which is a town which was completely covered in ash when Vesuvius, I think, exploded. Now it's a kind of a tourist attraction, with fingers crossed that it doesn't explode again. And we went for a walk and we saw a huge statue, a huge thing which was promoting a new museum, Louis Vuitton Museum. Louis Vuitton is a company that makes expensive bags. And they've got a museum now. I think it's next to Samaritaine, which has been redone, which is a big fancy apartment, big fancy department store. I don't like it now. It's really full of so expensive, exclusive stuff. It's lost a lot of its character, but it looks really nice from the outside. So yeah, just wandering around, getting shots, and it was cool. It was cool. You know, I mean, I think I literally got about 5 or 10 new shots for my Paris Photo Chronicles on a random wander around Paris yet again. So that's pretty much it for now. I hope you enjoyed the show. One final reminder, I am looking, no, two or three things. Let me just share the screen one more time before I go. And I've forgotten how to do that. What are you looking at here? Oh yeah, there we go. So you have some homework. One is to fill in the survey on creative smartphone photography and decide which of the 2 themes you would like to go for next week. The other is to visit Today's the Day, join Today's the Day, and you can put a nice photo in there or something you've written and basically say why today was a good day. It's optional, you don't have to, but you know, it's a really nice thing to do. And of course, you can contribute your photographs at any time in our group. What is more interesting is if you ask a question. So contribute it, ask a question to people. You know, is there something like this in your town, or how could I improve this photograph, or you know, do you like the colors, or I wasn't sure about this. You can put 2 photographs of the same thing and ask for people's opinions to get some conversation going. Okay, so don't put any naked pics, in other words, photographs with no text, and try to interact with people, try to get people to ask questions. And I'm so pleased that we've got this group going again. It was kind of sleepy, let's put it that way. My fault, of course. And even on obscure topics like corners, people are really getting excited and contributing some amazingly creative stuff. So well done. This is the Creative Smartphone Photography Group, and you are proving that you, as members, are creative smartphone photographers. So thank you very much. And thank you for commenting. Those who commented, thank you for watching. Those who watched, I guess we'll probably do the same thing next week. I'll announce the competition, the theme, the new theme, in an hour or 2 probably, when I've got a few votes in, and let's have another cool week of photographing. What do you think? All right, people, that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. Go and finish your evenings or start your afternoons if you're in the States. And I'll see you again soon. And happy creating, happy snapping. Bye for now, folks. Happy macarons.